like we should have that intro, like same music, but we're all muted, and it looks like we're working and doing things.
Busy.
Yeah, like we're doing important business stuff.
It's like when I clack on my keyboard really loudly, but nothing's
No, that's
happening. There's Jen. She's here.
What have I missed?
Nothing. We
just started.
Yes. Nice.
Your timing is magnificent.
Oh yeah, 1 minute live. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome in. Hi, everybody. Before we get started, we are going to just remind the folks that tune in and that are watching to please join in the conversation. We want to hear from you. Go ahead and comment, like, smash that subscribe button. Please subscribe. It's how we know that you like what we're doing. Also, feel free to leave comments we would like to respond to you. We'd love to hear from you. And that is all for now, folks.
What are we talking about today?
I have no idea. No, I'm just kidding.
Marketing. You guys weren't here last time.
Oh, that's right. I was not here for Marketing 101.
Last week, we talked about trends you need to know in 2024. This week, we're talking about psychological theories you need to know. You, the life coaches or potential life coaches watching this.
Really driving home the you need to know message.
You need to be watching this. And you need to know these psychological theories. I'm using theories kind of loosely. At least I'm using theories kind of loosely. But there's psychological principles. I like that better. Psychological principles you need to know when you're marketing your coaching services to potential clients. The way in which people behave and how to manipulate that for your own gain. You guys are rolling your eyes. Can you say it better yourself?
I was typing. I'm not sure that manipulating is the right word, but be aware of them is always a good thing.
Okay, so we're aware of them. What do we do with that awareness afterwards?
Just make smart choices.
By manipulating people into buying.
By paying attention to the statistics of what gets people attention.
Okay. And so we all did some research on different statistics and different hypotheses and theories and practices and principles and psychological phenomena and etc. What did we all learn from it?
So we'll choose who goes first. So who wants to share first?
Don't all jump at once now.
I'm gonna jump at once.
Yeah, I was like, let's create an interesting way of selecting who goes first.
Here's one that I was assigned. The principle of least effort in marketing.
Of least effort.
It's essentially just be lazy. Nature, psychology, everything in the world is just doing so at the laziest way possible. And the laziest is the most efficient way possible to do things. You see this in like Occam's razor, that little saying that's like probably the simplest answer is the most correct answer. You should always start with the simplest things and then start building more complex, theories on top of that. So we're going to start simple with this live before we go deeper into the psychological topics. How does this fit into marketing? Not really like the marketer or you, the coach who owns the business, should aim for simple things because running your own business is easier said than done. But the people who are looking to buy your services, just make things simple for them. I know you want to go overboard on like, a page or website page with like 1 million different pages and 1 million different offerings and different pricing packages. And, maybe you want to do like a book or retreat or, do these free offerings and maybe you'll do a podcast on top of that. Just stop it. Keep things simple, stupid. Kiss. What are your guys' thoughts on that before I continue to rant?
I also put in a link to a live we did a while back called Fuel and Friction, and where we really go into reducing friction. And I think that this is sort of it dovetails beautifully with this current topic of what that means to reduce friction.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I'm gonna choose, if it's gonna be in the same place, I'm gonna end up in the exact same place. I'm gonna probably, if I am given the option, choose the easiest way to get there. Unless like I'm deliberately making hard choices, or I don't know any better and I'm making the hard choices because that's just what I do sometimes, and I don't know any better. But if given like the logical option, I'm gonna go, okay, yeah, I should probably get there the quickest way, the simplest way. I don't want to take the scenic route. Unless I'm really choosing to take the scenic route, I guess you could say.
Because essentially what studies have shown is that the more hiccups and bumps in the road there are to basically for me as a customer to pay for your sessions or pay for any product, the more opportunities there are for me to divert my attention away, the less conversions that is. So when you are marketing, that marketing funnel we were talking about, it should be a direct pathway of them signing up to you and paying you money for your services, and then eventually completing that coaching service down the line. Which at that point, you've already captured them. You can do all the form stuff, you can do all the explanations afterwards, but from the point where they hear about you, there should be a direct pathway to them contacting you or them signing up for your services. The more complicated it is, the more likely you're going to lose people. And so, I'm just looking at my notes here. Yeah, you're minimizing friction. You're keeping it the least amount of effort for them to click on your service and do whatever it is you want them to do.
I think this also extends to writing, right? Like, like I could, if I want to say, let's let me pull something out of this drawer here. If I want to say this pen is purple, that's probably the simplest way to say it. But a lot of people will sit down and go, I'm holding a pen within my hand, and this pen has a pearlescent violet tone to it. And it's like, okay, the pen is purple, man. The pen is purple. That's what you're trying to say. So like that extends to writing. Like, don't be afraid to make it simple, edit it down. Unless you're creating prose and poetry, you can just say the pen is purple and you don't have to dress it up.
Let's extend that to like building a website. Like when you get on the landing page, I don't need to know everything there is to know about your business. I just need to know how to contact you, how much it costs, what it is I'm buying, and a testimonial to let me know that, or a series of testimonials to let me know that other people have purchased this product.
Possibly what you do, like what the services are.
Yeah, what the services are, but like you don't need to make this more complicated. And people will try to convince you otherwise. Like if you're trying to get your website built by someone else, they're invested in making the website a little bulkier, maybe a little fluffier, maybe with more pages because you're essentially paying them for more work. Try sticking with one landing page, and if you absolutely need it and you're losing sales because of it, then start expanding and building out and filling out as you need to. Don't have to go all crazy all at once with your copy. Yeah, or as Steve said, they charge by the hour. So try to make the work as small amount of hours as possible.
Efficient.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward, right? Remember, people are lazy. This is something. The other thing to keep in mind with people being lazy is when it comes to reading, and people don't read. So it might feel obnoxious, but your headlines better be spectacular. Your sub headlines better be just as good, and they're probably going to read the first sentence, maybe. Otherwise, assume people aren't going to read. So you really got to get to the point, get short and to the point, and that you're going to find this to be a thing throughout. People are innately lazy. They would rather, if it might all be right there in front of them, but they would rather call you and have you explain it to them than read. They would rather email you and have you, have to read
Oh
the
my
email.
gosh, you better believe they would rather just call you than read the website that I
Yes.
put so much effort into, like writing a detailed FAQ for every question they could possibly answer
Yep.
or ask. Forget that. They just want to
Yep.
explain to you in person.
It's always good to, I mean,
Yeah.
it's good to have it there, but like, just keep in mind that like, they're going to do whatever is the most efficient for them and if you're able to be somebody that is aware of that. So if I have this awareness that where I can start to build this thought process from what is most efficient and effective for my client. Well, I'm noticing all my clients are calling in. Well, if that's the case, I'm going to make sure I have a damn good ability to answer the phone, get back to them. I'm going to really make that part of my business fantastic because obviously people aren't reading, they're calling. But let's say your client is not the person that's going to call, they're the person that's going to text. Well, then I'm going to make sure it's really easy for that client to text. And so by becoming aware of how our clients are lazy and then building out our services to, we're not going to say like support that laziness, but support the laziness, like where they can come to you and get what they need in the easiest way possible. That is fantastic. Like that is going to make them come to you over somebody who, if they're a calling person, can't get a hold of somebody on the phone. If they're a texting person, can't get a response via text. If all of these things, right? So
Yep.
expect for you to, if you're able to make small enough changes for your business that work for you, that will also really work for your client, you're going to have clients that pick you because of that convenience.
Also, on that note of the principle of least effort, just start automating all this marketing stuff as well. So if that means automating process where when people sign up, you don't send the emails, your website will automatically send an email for them. Or you might even have like an AI chatbot on your website that has all those answers ready to serve up to the client. Or just hire people to answer your phones for you. That also works too.
How do you hire people to answer your phones when you're not making money as a coach yet?
Oh, we're talking about as the coach. I mean, this stuff builds off
They
each
do have
other, but
services that do that, but yeah, you still have to make some money. Does SMS marketing require an opt-in? I am not 100% sure, but I'm almost 100% sure that it does absolutely require an opt-in. It will be different depending on where you're at, though, in the world. So, like, different places will have different rules. So I would always say the best rule of thumb is to be the most safe, like the most cautious in those spaces of when making sure that your people are opting into any kind of marketing that you're giving them. That's like they're giving you permission. People don't want to be marketed to when they haven't been given permission to be marketed to. So it's just good practice to.
I think
have an
WhatsApp Business is like a good workaround for that. I've heard a lot of success stories with people using WhatsApp for just texting, marketing offerings to their potential client base.
But I
didn't like it.
I would still get permission. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it. Not only that, I was getting it just through my phone, my cellular service. I don't like it. It's not the place for me that you're going to get my attention. It's going to be the place where I block you.
Yeah. It's like all my texts are junk texts now. Like it's just junk. Like it's like, okay, this has gone the way of email. Which is why I use now messaging services because otherwise I have to crazy. I think we should probably move on to our next topic. Otherwise, we're not going to get to them all. Who's up next?
Well, we could do consistency.
Well,
no.
Well,
pretty straightforward.
Hold on. Consistency is one of the pillars that I found in the persuasion.
Yeah, I was going to say if we do the pillars, we should do those somewhat together, So that's why.
Yeah.
Maybe we should say what all the pillars are.
So that link that I dropped, I can do the pillars. But there's a great link for the viewers, the Science of Persuasion. That's a really good breakdown of them. It's in our,
and I also
Slack.
I can also cover some of the pillars because like reciprocity or scarcity was one of the ones I was going to be talking about.
Okay.
I can help a little bit with that.
Yeah, I've got some input on those as well.
Yeah, we can just chime in. You lead, we'll chime in.
Okay, so the 6 pillars of persuasion, reciprocity is number 1. And so what I got from that was people are more likely to say yes to people they have received something from, or they feel like they owe. So the way I kind of interpreted that as a coach is like offer value for free, and they are potentially going to be more interested in buying from you if you are providing a lot of value up front. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about how when you answer the phone, right, you give your time, you give your space for them to ask whatever question. That to me is fulfilling that need. You are providing answers to their questions. They're not being able to connect with others because they're investigating what this business is all about, what their, coaching is, and what's important about it. And you're giving your time for that.
Yes,
we are participating in reciprocity right now, everybody.
Yeah,
yeah. You're welcome.
We do these live to help coaches and to help and to get, and it doesn't, I mean, it's free information we are putting out there, and we do it all the time and under different topics, all topics that we hope will serve our coaches and that is done for a few reasons, and one of them is absolutely so that we can help coaches, not so that we're going to hold it over their heads forever,
right?
But it definitely creates this sensation of, hey, they gave us some really great information in that live. I know recently not too long ago, we had somebody call in about our exam live and say, hey, you guys gave tons of information on the exam. So doing these kind of things helps people, and the hope is that when they sit down and decide they want to finally get certified, they think about us and the fact that we have already put good information out for them, and that plays into it as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think I get a lot of calls where people are relieved that I'm answering their questions without like some sort of, where clearly they've been on the phone with schools that are trying to hard sell them. And they feel very relieved when I just straight up answer all their questions. Like, wow, you are really helpful. Thank you. Like they're shocked that they didn't have to, pull teeth to get the answers. So yeah, for sure. We give a lot up front without expecting anything in return. And that does have an impact on the psychology of the potential buyer.
I think that goes into the principle of least effort as well. Like, we're not making an effort to sell the product. Just ask your questions. We will answer them with our breadth of knowledge, and then you can make the decision. We're not gonna bend over backwards to try to sell a product to you.
It's because we believe in it.
We know it works.
Yeah. Next one up, Jen.
The next one is scarcity. So I that as what makes you as a coach unique? Why are your services and the way you coach, why is that rare? That's kind of how I took it, because people want more of what they believe they can have less of. So if you have something that really makes you stand out, that I thought would be creating scarcity. Thoughts?
I think of.
Go ahead.
I was about to say. I was thinking of how. Yeah, Jen's mic is breaking up just a little bit.
Oh no!
It's not just you, Steve. Your video and your microphone are a bit delayed. But creating scarcity. That's part of what when we talk about niching down, is you're not just a life coach. Because if I look for a life coach as a consumer, I'll get everybody and their mother who's trying to get my services. But if you're a coach who is coaching on my specific needs and specific topics that I'm looking for coaching on, then the market of coaches gets more and more scarce until I find the coach that is just coaching towards me and what I need. There's also ways to create artificial scarcity a little bit. Your time is scarce as a coach.
That's not artificial. My time is scarce. I can only meet with so many people in a day.
Well, what I wanted to continue on is that your clients don't need to know how booked you are, how not booked you are. You can advertise how scarce your time is as much as you would like, because that scarcity means you have to book by.
I'm only taking one client. I'm one client, and you've created scarcity. And that can be for whatever, you don't have to give anybody reasons why you're doing that. Right? You can just say one client.
It's like that thing. It's like that thing in Amazon where it's like when you are looking to add something to your cart and it says like, oh, there's only like 3 of these left. Then I'm like, oh, I got to buy this now, because if I don't, then I'm not going to have the chance to buy it later. So if all the rest is working for you, your marketing's working for you, and the person's almost ready to pull that trigger, that scarcity might be the reason why they say, oh, I have to do this now, because if I don't do it now, I don't coach with Jen, then I'm not going to have that opportunity for another 6 months, and there's no one else that I want to.
And she's the only one that does what I want. And so that, we can create our own scarcity by niching down, by being specific, by all of these things. Do that for sure.
I think there's too much of that in some instances. Like I have a massage person that I totally love what she does. It feels like I'm in the right place, except I won't schedule with her anymore because I can't get an appointment for 6 months.
Oh, well, that's too much. Yes.
And I really enjoy what she provides in that service, and would go to her if she had more availability. She doesn't. She's niched herself so far down, limited her time. She's done all of these things, which is good for her because her business is booming. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm not interested because it's too much effort, which we were talking about. Keep the effort easy. Mm-hmm. It's just too much effort to try and schedule with her. That I did an appointment, and life happens and I can't go to the appointment. So I wind up not going because for me, the person buying her services, it tends to be frustrating. But for her, on the flip side, imagine her, she's busy. She wants to be busy. She's busy as often as she wants to be. And it works for her. That's what we want with our businesses. So on that flip side, she's doing what you're talking about so far and been very successful with her practice.
I think we have to move to the next one, but I'm just going to say an acronym and then we can move forward, and it's called FOMO. And FOMO is scarcity in action. So next one. Consistency.
Consistency. Is my mic better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, gosh, I don't know what happened. So what I wrote for consistency was that people like to be consistent with the things they have previously said that they would do. So be consistent with like a public, which I think this is where all our challenges, all these challenges that we see on social media, all these challenges that like a coach or a creator will do, because you're getting people enrolled in already like to do that type of work. I don't know. I could be misinterpreting it.
Sorry. I think it's a lot of different things. I think consistency is when you're practicing social media is to show up when you say you're going to show up. That's why we are pretty much consistent all year long on Tuesdays, depending on where you are, 4 or 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock Pacific, we're there. The only time that we're really not here is during holidays, right? So those holidays are when we're not. And the consistency builds a know, like, and trust in the product. So knowing who your potential clients are and that ability to create that stability, I think, is an important piece of all of this as well.
So can we let's talk about McDonald's for a second. McDonald's, if I am in California, if I am in Dubai, if I am here, if I am in New York, a McDonald's French fry is going to taste like a McDonald's French fry, and a McDonald's hamburger is going to taste not like a hamburger, but a McDonald's hamburger. And that is going to be consistent across the board. And that's a brand, and it's something I can count on. I know what I'm going to get every single time. At no point is McDonald's trying to sell you anything but what McDonald's does. And because of that, we trust it as a brand. We know what we're going to get when we walk through the door. The same thing applies with coaching and people who are building consistent brands. If I'm over here on Instagram saying, I help women who are, too stressed to walk their dog. And then I'm over here saying, I help men who can't scratch their backs. Like, I don't know who you are, and you are not being consistent for me, and I have now lost trust because I don't know who you're really helping. Like, I don't know.
Okay. So consistent messaging and then consistently showing up with that messaging is what I'm hearing from you guys.
Absolutely.
Which we've had discussions. I remember when we used to do the Lunch and Learns a lot, Brooke, we've had people who were like, I'm successful in like this area of my life or this business or this profession. Can I use that? Can I use the same website to advertise my coaching services? And we're like, okay, what's your coaching services about? And it's like something completely different from their professional, work experience. I'm like, and we're always like, I'm not exactly sure that is a consistent message that you're sending. It might need to be its own separate entity from what you previously had, unless you want to bridge. Let's try to figure out and coach how we can bridge the two. But as of right now, the message isn't consistent.
Like I have known spooky woo-woo coaches that are also like doTERRA people, right? And so
that's still spooky woo-woo, yeah.
But they're coaches, so they end up having a website that has like doTERRA sales and coaching sales, but it all kind of, if it's got the right like umbrella, it kind of like works, right? These are the smells I use while we're coaching. If you like the smells we use while you're coaching, you can buy them at doTERRA, right? Like, it all kind of like, okay, I can sort of buy off on that, but it does start to muddy the message a little after a while.
Yeah, but if I'm like, I'm an investment banking coach who will get your indexes up, and also I sell doTERRA essences to help your room smell better. Like, that doesn't jive very well. So if you've got a lot of enterprises going on or a lot of like side hustles, don't mix them together.
Yeah,
really. And
also, it's good for people to know that when the last thing of consistency, like I used to host trivia, and if we were solid every Wednesday, right, people would show up. I'd see them every Wednesday. But the moment there was some kind of weird holiday or something happened that it was off for a week, people they break their habit. And then it would always take several weeks for the group to build back up and that group to get full again. Why? Because for all it took was 1 week of them not showing up to break that habit and get out of the practice of showing up to do it. And it was that simple. Working out, a similar thing, right? So like it's so important for people to know where to find you, know when to find you, and for you to be consistent, so that they develop those habits and are consistent too. So you're absolutely right with the challenge thing. And that is a way for them to start practicing consistency, sort of pull the plug or like not, get the ball rolling on something. And then at the end of that, they're like, hey, I've been doing this. I want to keep it going. And you have that momentum, which is fantastic. And consistency.
That's what the packages, when we as coaches, we tend to build packages, right, and sell those packages. But even if you sell your next session, it's the buy-in, and they build that consistency there as well.
And that's why we have classes Tuesday through Thursday and Friday through Saturday at the Sunday at the same times. And because I'm such a harper on consistency because I have been in so many situations where I've seen how important it is to be consistent. And I get all like when we're not. I have panic attacks. Next one, Jen.
So the next one is likability, which is part of, I guess, know, like, and trust. At least it seems. One of the things I wrote was people want to say yes to those that they like. And it makes me think about like all the conversations that I have with people talking about CLCI, and I don't try to sell them, and they genuinely like me, and then they end up buying. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's more to it than that. Maybe we are meeting their needs very specifically, but it's always that phone call where they're just, you can tell, like they liked me, therefore they liked the company. They liked us.
That's kind of what CLCI Live we do every Tuesday does too, because there's quite a few times where you answer a phone call and they're like, "Oh my gosh, is this Jen? Like, is this Anthony? Is this Jerome?" We're like, "Yes, it is." And because for some reason they like us on the live, and that leads to a nicer phone call later down the line. But that also go on.
So if we like get into a little bit of a coaching space of this, like, just quickly, of course, if I have to choose between somebody I don't like and somebody I like, I'm gonna go with somebody I like, right? Like 100% over, unless I'm like in some really masochistic kind of mood, I'm gonna be going to somebody I like. But what does it say about us when we like somebody else?
What do you mean?
What are we really experiencing
as a coach, or what do you mean?
As people, like if I like Jen, if I'm like, man, I like Jen. What is it that why do you think I'm liking Jen?
Relatability. That's my first guess.
Yeah.
Trust
is being on some level received.
I don't know. There's some people I don't trust at all, and I still like them.
Like me.
Okay, that's funny.
True.
That kind of
yeah.
I'm gonna dovetail that into my other psychological thing that I was gonna bring up, which is the halo effect, where people liking you, having a really good first impression, goes a long way and can have lasting effects. Being likable leads to more likability. And the inverse is true, which is called the horn effect, I think, where having an initial bad experience, it kind of just taints the rest of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been some studies and some things that I've read where it's like, just cut your losses. If you have a bad first experience, cut your losses, move on to the next prospect. Because it's not worth the investment of your time, which is like, the principle of least effort in marketing.
And this kind of dovetails into one of my theories as well, but
dovetail it right now. Go.
No, I'm having issues. Give me a second.
Okay, I'll talk more about the halo effect and likability.
Why is my computer freezing?
But wait, hold on. Can we go back to what you just said? Because I've never thought about that, and I actually think that sounds like really, really sound advice, to not spend time and energy trying to make someone like you if you sense like you guys aren't a fit. You're not a fit. That's it. You don't try to make that work because it's actually
will like me.
I mean, that's just like general life advice. Like, don't try to make people like you who don't like you. It seems like it's just a waste of like everybody's time. But I've done this before in like phone calls where like right off the bat, somebody's trying to learn more about the institution, but they're already not liking things. They're already picking at things. They're already like, oh, can you work with me in XYZ ways? And it's just not gelling for whatever reason. I just try to give them as much information as possible and get off the phone, because they're not really interested in, a conversation where it's what is it? It's not good faith conversation. And I try to avoid conversations in bad faith. Our time is spent better pursuing leads where people are excited to talk to you, excited to learn more information. And if it's not working for you, and if you don't like the person, why would you want to coach them? Why would you want to willingly spend a lot of time with them? Now, if they're paying a lot of money, that might, make them like you a little. That might make you like them a little bit more if they're paying a lot of money for your coaching services. But you need to balance that off with, do I actually want to spend, 10 hours sitting in a room with this person talking about them? It might not just work for you.
Is that the best use of my time as a coach to try to serve someone who I don't really vibe with?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think of. Is that my most useful? I don't think so.
And on that note, please put your best foot forward and be professional. I worked for a company. I'm not going to name names, but they found out what Twitter was and they posted their wild, crazy opinions on Twitter, and it just did bad things for that company. And there was nothing we could do about it because they were the owner and CEO of that company, and they could just post whatever because it's their First Amendment right, and that just had lasting effects on the business.
That works for some company, but I would assume typically not in the coaching phase. That's not going to be something that's going to
not in the coaching phase. Just be professional. If you have a wild personality, there's a way to leverage it, but try to be likable. I don't know how else to describe it. Show up.
Wait, you've completely contradicted yourself. You said don't try to be likable. That's a waste of your time.
And now he's like, be like.
Rewind it. I swear you said that.
Okay.
I think I know what he means.
Yeah.
Jerome knows what I mean.
I'm
trying to
say be authentic. Be authentic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that.
You know what? Brooke, dovetail right now.
Don't waste your time on the customers that you know aren't right for you. Meaning, don't fabricate, a good time with them. It's not right from the jump.
Yeah.
Do as much as you can to be likable. Create a halo effect for you that will last. But don't waste your time being likable. Don't waste your time trying to make people like you.
Just be you.
They don't like you.
Yeah.
Steve said it best. It's cool
to be cool. It is.
We're not gonna do my dovetail because we've kind of already covered it. So we're just gonna move on to the next one.
Okay. The next one is consensus or social proof. So people will look to the actions of others to determine their own. People want to know what other people think, feel, say about the coach before they commit to them, is what I'm getting.
I got that, and I got something else too, but we'll talk into that first.
Yeah. I mean, have other people advocate for you.
That's testimonial.
Yeah, testimonials.
Mm-hmm. Testimonials. You've got like authoritative figures, like for us, Forbes. They've advocated for us very well, things like that, where people can kind of get an understanding as far as who we are through the lens of other people, which
I think it's also a matter of familiarity too. So like, it is yes, have testimonials, have people on there, have that show that you can do it. But what also shows that you can do it is if everybody's like, have you ever had something? Can you think of something in your life that like everybody else was talking about, but you hadn't experienced it yet or bought it? Or
yes, the Barbie movie.
The Barbie movie. I was gonna say that too.
I was gonna say the Stanley Cup. That Stanley Cup.
Okay, the Stanley Cup. There we go.
Yeah.
The whole world is talking about it. The whole world. It must be amazing. Like that is like the quintessential definition of what social proof is. Like it doesn't. At that point, Stanley Cup doesn't need to have a review. If I know everybody in there, every person I know on the planet has one, I may not go and look up the review. I'm going to probably just go out and buy a Stanley Cup because I'm more familiar with it if I need a cup and everybody else has one and I gotta get one too. And so like that is, it's kind of it's scarcity and social proof or / consensus working together with each other in that one.
Also,
I'm
the
just gonna
Halo
say-
effect too.
You can't buy the Stanley Cup. You have to win it.
That's what I was. That's
No.
what I was
Does
going
anyone?
for.
No.
When
I
you
got
were
it, yeah,
talking
I
about
got
the Stanley Cup,
Okay.
I was thinking, wait, that's not. What are we talking about?
Right.
I was thinking that too. It's
exactly.
like, is that a racing like award or something? Or
It's hockey. Come on.
yeah, I
now.
know what you're talking about.
I've told this story before. I met a hockey player in the LAX. It was one of the mornings that I was traveling. I don't know if I said it on here before. Anyway, I was sitting down, eating some breakfast, waiting for my time. Two guys sat next to me. We did our good mornings. Hello, how are you? The idea of, they were going somewhere. I'm going somewhere because we're clearly at the airport. Oh, where are you going? Oh, we're going up to Canada. Oh, nice. What are you going to Canada for? Oh, we're going skiing. Oh, fantastic. And then as it goes on, he's talking with me and flashing his hand around. And I see this like ginormous ring on his finger. And I go, oh, that's huge. What is that? And he goes, the Stanley Cup ring. And I went, oh, nice. And thank God for Google, because I go, Stanley Cup.
Oh, you didn't know? Oh, that's so funny. It's hockey. I love hockey.
I looked it
You
up.
know, he wears that ring for that exact reason. He's like waving it in people's
got to-
faces. This.
I was at a restaurant having a drink, and I ended up hanging out with Timu Solani too, like because he lived like where I grew up, and I was like, "Hey, you're Timu Solani," and that's kind of him and his wife.
Wow.
It's pretty neat.
I don't know who
Yeah.
that is.
I still want to know who it was that Lisa is talking about, and we
I
will never know,
described
huh?
him. I described him. He was cute. He was younger. He had a scar on his face.
They're all cute. Every hockey player is cute.
And everybody said, well, they all have scars on their
Every one of
face, and they're all like, I don't know who he was.
See, right now, this is the what is the theory we're talking about right now?
Social proof.
Social
Yeah.
proof.
Yeah,
Consensus,
Social
yeah.
proof and consensus on hockey players.
Mhm.
at
Yeah,
work.
actually, good point.
And the Halo effect too on hockey players. Watch hockey, everybody. That's what
I
we're
used to.
saying.
Hockey was my sport. We skipped one in this, though. I think, right?
Yeah, sorry, I did. I turned my page and I
I think
skipped.
the order is different depending on where
Oh,
you get
okay.
it from. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, Jerome. We want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, before we go to the next one, what is a new coach to think about getting testimonies, getting social proof, right? I can imagine that you have, some anxiety possibly about like, oh, well, how can I show people what I can do if I haven't coached? So what's the recommendation for?
So you have coached. If you're taking training, you've coached in training, you can give each other a testimony in that space, right? Anybody that you've talked with, you can absolutely leverage that in a way that's honest and true. You're not lying when you have coached someone in training. That is a really important piece. And then get coaching other people. A lot of the times clients, like my clients, they don't like to be out there with that they're coming to a coach. Not that they're coming to a coach, that they were a couples coach, right? Couples didn't want to announce, what was going on with that. And then there's someone that did. So you don't ever know who's willing to share that testimony until you ask. And that was a default I had, as I didn't ask, especially in the beginning. But as time went on, I found another cheat. I gave him a piece of paper that said, would you give me a test? So anything that I could, I utilized to ask for testimony. So that's an important piece of it, though.
Yeah. I would like to add, too, there's 6 different types of social proof, and one of those is certification. So if you're certified, that is, and I know it's not a testimonial directly, but it is some sort of
Mm.
testimony saying
What
that
are the
you're
6
trained.
different types of social proof?
Yeah, let's hear
Okay,
those.
I know we're supposed to move on, and this is the one I
Okay.
did my research on. Okay,
No,
so
this is a good one.
we've got expert as the first one. So as an example, you could say Forbes for us, or Very Well Mind, which we kind of already went over, or celebrity, which is a big one. You know, social influencers, things like that. I know one that excited me that recently came to us was a former NFL player who attended one of our classes, and we actually got a cool testimonial from him, which is great.
Also, I think me and Brooke watched something recently where like these celebrities were doing like testimonials for a product.
Mhm.
They'll literally do testimonies for anything
They
if you
will.
pay them enough money.
Yeah.
So
You can-
if you
and
got a lot of money lying around, use that.
Influencers will do the same thing. Find somebody with a baby. There's lots of ways for you to get that happening. Lots of ways. Anyways.
But do your research with the influencers and those, because a lot of people will say they are and they're not really.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it'll
And
cost you some money.
want to make sure they're a decent person too, because that could bite you. In the butt.
Oh yeah.
So
I
make sure you're not,
guess.
asking around. Okay, so then we've got user social proof, which would be just your run of the mill testimonials, and then we can move on to wisdom of crowd, which would be things like Facebook, where there's spaces where people are speaking about a service or product of
Oh,
yours.
so like Google reviews and stuff
Google
like that?
reviews, that's
Okay.
right in there too. Yep, Google reviews right there. And then wisdom of a friend, which is something in the space of like us. We offer a referral program, so it incentivizes someone to kind of tell a friend about a product or an experience that they went through. And for us, it would be our classes. It incentivizes them to tell a friend that maybe might be interested. And again, the referral of a friend is going to be something that really, psychologically, kind of it's going to push you into the direction probably more so than it would of a space that you're unfamiliar with if friends completed that service or product. And then lastly would be the certification, which I brought up. So for us, it would be like our accreditation with the ICF. For our students, it would be their certification through us, their certificate.
And their Credly badges.
Their Credly badges.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Ours behind the
Okay.
scenes as well with the United States government. We've had groups start taking our classes with the military, and then word spreads around there, and that's social proof in of itself that the government trusts us. So you should trust us. That's probably not good social proof now I think about it. I have just done the opposite of the halo effect right there.
I think that it's also important to know that like all these things work together. Like if you start to look at the 6 pillars of persuasion, you can sort of see how they all kind of start to like, interlace, and one affects another, and it becomes a thing. And it's very cool to look at. We had more to talk about, but we are out of time. So,
oh wow.
Do we want to do a 2.0 of psychological theories? I had more we could do.
Yeah.
Or we will move
Yeah.
on.
I think here's what I've learned, and this is me just spitballing here and giving the viewers a
I'm
peek.
not going to go with what Anthony wants, but he's still.
I'm giving the viewers a peek behind the curtain. I don't necessarily like the smorgasbord type of smorgasbord type of live where it's like we all bring different topics. Because what it turns out is we have a lot of topics, and then we focus really on just like one or two.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know that it was going to be this until now.
So I think if we want to continue this, we take one of the topics that we didn't get to talk about today.
Okay, and we make it a big one.
We make it a big topic. We focus only on that.
Let's vote on the ones we didn't get to discuss today.
So more marketing. Exactly which marketing you will be informed.
Well.
Wait, we missed the final pillar, or am I completely losing it?
Which is the
You're
final?
supposed to do authority.
Yeah, authority.
Oh, we got to talk about authority.
Okay, let's go.
We'll talk about that next week on Sales Guy Live.
Well, we could draw it out a little bit. think we
Alright.
started a little late, so
I might have to hop off,
Alright.
but you guys can keep
Okay.
going.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh my god, we're like
Well-
ending the live and also wanting to talk about it now.
But authority is
Authority.
simply we just talked
Great,
about it.
yeah.
The Credley badges, the
Yeah.
fact that you are certified, the fact that you are certified through ICF accredited training.
Yeah.
The
you
fact
know.
that the God-given authority of the land, the United States government, has taken our classes,
Okay.
things like that.
Okay.
Stop
Marketing can go on for days and days and days.
absolutely.
We're
So
gonna
we
go
will talk more about marketing next week.
Yes.
Well, the psychology of marketing.
Are we going to talk about the psychology of marketing next week more?
Aren't we continuing marketing 101 either
Well,
way?
we will continue marketing 101, but now we're at a point because we're like I had a topic for next week, but we've got other topics that we might just put in. So I'm not sure what we want.
Is it a good topic?
Let's have Steve pick the topic.
You're going to talk about content script.
Content strategy.
Content strip.
Content
But-
strategy. Okay.
We instead can talk about the what is the I always hold on. One of my topics, which I had several topics that we never touched on.
Yeah, I had one on the
But we
back
don't
of
have
my
to
head.
either. I'm not married to them.
Well, we can decide later.
I was going to
Yeah.
talk about what is it called? It's just two big names. That's why I can't remember because they're long names. It's like the Rosen,
I got it for you.
Yeah.
It
the
was
Bader Meinhof phenomenon.
I like that name.
Steve
Well,
wants content.
Sounds like Star Wars.
Well, because I think we can get clustering into content strategy. I think there's a lot of these sort of things we can bring
Yeah.
into content strategy. So
Okay.
Okay.
Content strategy it is. Next week
Okay.
on CLCI Live. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, and take our classes where we also talk a little bit about psychology and marketing
Mhm.
on day
Yeah.
3.
a little bit. Day 3.
Day 3 of Coaching 101.
Bye.
Coaching 101 is $12.95.
And go
Oh my
look at our
gosh,
Google
it is.
reviews. Social proof.
Yeah. Check our social proof out.